The auction hall smelled of fear and metal. Station hung in the darkness between stars, far from any law, far from any help. Here in the rusted corridors of the orbital market, creatures were bought and sold like cargo. The lights buzzed and flickered above the crowd of buyers. They were aliens of many kinds. Some had scales, some had fur, some had bodies that bent in ways that made no sense. All of them had credits to spend and no conscience to trouble them. Myra Vance stood on the auction block with chains on her wrists. She was a human woman of perhaps 30 years. Her hair was dark and cut short. A long scar ran down the left side of her face from her temple to her jaw. She wore the torn remains of a flight suit and her feet were bare on the cold metal platform. She did not shake. She did not cry. She simply stood there, still as stone, and watched the crowd with eyes that missed nothing. The auctioneer was a fat creature with gray skin and too many arms. He waved at Myra like she was a piece of furniture. His translator box crackled as he spoke to the crowd. A human female, rare stock, very rare, from the planet called Earth. Some call it but look at her. Healthy, strong, young enough to work for many cycles. Who will start the bidding? The crowd murmured. Myra could see the hesitation in their strange faces. She knew what they were thinking. Everyone in the galaxy had heard stories about Earth. They said it was a nightmare world where the gravity crushed bones and the air itself was poison. They said the water fell from the sky and the ground shook without warning. They said the creatures there killed each other for sport, for territory, for reasons that made no sense at all. Most species avoided humans, but not everyone believed the stories. A tall figure pushed through the crowd. He was, with a body like black armor and eyes like chips of red glass. His kind were called the. They were slavers and traders who operated in the lawless spaces where the conquered's protection did not reach. This one was larger than the others of his species. He wore bands of gold on his upper arms, a sign of rank and wealth. His name was Overseer, and he commanded a crew of 6. Clicked his mandibles together. The sound was like knives being sharpened. "I will take the human," he said. His voice was dry and rasping. 500 credits. The auctioneer blinked his many eyes. "Only 500 for a—" "Look at her," said. "She is small, she is damaged. The scar tells me she has been broken before. 500 is generous." No one else bid. The stories about humans kept them afraid. Was not afraid. He thought the stories were lies made up by weaklings. He had killed many creatures in his long life. One small human female was nothing to him. The auctioneer shrugged with all 6 of his shoulders. "Sold to Overseer of the Syndicate." 2 of his crew came forward to collect the merchandise. They were smaller than their overseer but still towered over Myra. They grabbed her arms and pulled her off the platform. She did not resist. She walked between them with her head down like a broken thing, but her eyes were open. She was looking at everything: the layout of the station, the number of guards, the weapons they carried, the path to the docking bays. She remembered every detail. Ship was called the Skein of Prophets. It was an ugly vessel, all angles and rust, built for hauling cargo through dangerous space. The crew dragged Myra through the airlock and down a long corridor that smelled of oil and something rotten. They brought her to the cargo hold at the bottom of the ship. The hold was dark and cold. Old crates lined the walls. In the corner, 3 small figures huddled together. They were children or something like children. Their bodies were thin and delicate, with skin that glowed faintly in the darkness. Blue and green light pulsed beneath their flesh like gentle fire. They had large eyes and no hair and mouths that seemed too small for speaking. These were the. They came from a beautiful world of forests and crystal rivers. Their bioluminescence made them valuable. Collectors paid fortunes for glow. The children looked up when the door opened. Their light flickered with fear. They pressed closer together as they threw Myra to the floor and chained her to a pipe on the wall. "Stay quiet," one of the crew said to Myra. "Give us trouble and we will hurt the little ones. Understand?" Myra nodded. She understood perfectly. The door slammed shut. The lock clicked. The children's glow was the only light in the darkness. For a long time, no one spoke. The ship's engines rumbled to life. Myra felt the vibration in her bones as the skein of prophets left station and moved toward open space. She heard the strange sound of fold space drives warming up. Soon they would jump, and the station would be far behind. The smallest of the children made a sound. It was crying, Myra realized. The soft glow beneath its skin pulsed faster with distress. "It's all right," Myra said. Her voice was rough from disuse. She had not spoken in days. The children flinched, their glows dimmed with fear. "I won't hurt you," Myra said. She kept her voice soft and low. "What are your names?" The oldest child, still so small, so fragile, looked at her with enormous eyes. "You are a human," it said. Its voice was like music, high and clear. "They say humans are monsters." "Some of us are," Myra admitted. "But not all. My name is Myra. I come from a world called Earth." The child whispered. "Yes." The Myra shifted her weight, testing the chains. They were strong, but she had seen worse. "What is your name, little one?" The child hesitated, then slowly it answered. "I am called Sola. These are my siblings and Talai." "Hello, Sola. Hello, Talai." Myra leaned her head back against the cold wall. The ship shuddered as it jumped into fold space. The stars outside would be stretching now, bending into ribbons of light. "Do you know where they are taking us?" "To the outer markets," Sola said, "to be sold again, or worse." The child's glow pulsed with fear. "No one comes back from the outer markets." Myra closed her eyes. In the darkness behind her eyelids she saw her crew, her ship, the ambush that had taken everything from her. She felt the old anger stir in her chest, cold and patient, like an ember waiting for fuel. "Listen to me," she said. She opened her eyes and looked at the children. Her gaze was steady. "I need you to be brave. I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" The children looked at each other. Their lights flickered with uncertainty. "Why should we trust you?" Sola asked. "Because I am going to take you home," Myra said. "I promise you, whatever it takes, whatever I have to do, I am going to get you back to your families." The youngest child, Talai, spoke for the first time. Its voice was barely a whisper. "How?" Myra smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator who has just spotted its prey. "Leave that to me," she said. 3 days in fold space. 3 days of darkness and cold and the endless rumble of engines. The crew came twice each day to bring food and water. They threw scraps at the prisoners like they were feeding animals. The food was gray and tasteless. The water was stale. But Myra ate everything they gave her. She needed her strength. The children watched her with curious eyes. They had stopped being afraid of her on the second day. Now they were fascinated. They had never seen a human before. They had only heard the stories. "Is it true," Sola asked on the second night, "that your world tries to kill you?" Myra was sitting with her back against the wall. Her chains allowed her to move a little, but not much. She had been testing them quietly, learning their weak points. Now she stopped and looked at the child. "Yes," she said, "it is true." The children's lights flickered with wonder. "How?" asked. "How does a world try to kill its own people?" Myra thought about how to explain. These children came from a gentle world of soft light and calm waters. They had never known danger. They had never known fear until the slavers came. "On Earth," she began, "the ground shakes. We call them earthquakes. Sometimes they destroy whole cities. Thousands of people die in minutes." The children stared at her with wide eyes. "The water falls from the sky," Myra continued. "Sometimes it falls so hard and so fast that it drowns the land. We call it rain. And sometimes the rain comes with wind that spins in circles, faster than any ship. We call those tornadoes. They tear apart everything in their path." Talai made a small sound of fear. Its glow dimmed to almost nothing. "And the creatures," Myra said. "Earth is full of creatures that want to eat us. Sharks in the water with rows of teeth like knives. Bears on the land that stand 3 times taller than me. snakes with poison that can stop a heart, insects so small you cannot see them but their bites bring fevers that kill millions. How do you survive? Sola whispered. Myra smiled. We fight, we learn, we adapt. For millions of years, everything on our world tried to kill us. The cold tried to freeze us, so we made fire. The predators tried to eat us, so we made weapons. The diseases tried to destroy us, so we made medicine. Every time our world knocked us down, we got back up, and we got stronger. She leaned forward, and her eyes caught the faint glow from the children's skin. Do you know what makes humans different from most species in the galaxy? The children shook their heads. We are persistence hunters, Myra said. Long ago, before we had tools or weapons, we hunted by following. Our prey could run faster than us, but we could run longer. We would chase an animal across the plains for hours and hours, never stopping, never resting, until the animal's heart gave out from exhaustion. We hunted by refusing to quit. She touched the scar on her face. That is what we are. We are the species that does not stop. We do not give up. We do not surrender. No matter how many times we fall, we get back up. No matter how bad things get, we keep going. That is how we survived that is how we conquered it, and that is how we reached the stars. Sola was quiet for a long moment. Then the child asked, Is that why you are not afraid? I am afraid, Myra admitted. Fear is natural, fear keeps you alive. But I do not let fear control me, I use it. I let it sharpen my senses and speed my thoughts. On Earth, we learned that fear is a tool, not a master. The ship rumbled around them. Somewhere above, the crew was laughing at something. Their clicking voices echoed through the metal walls. Tell me about your home, Myra said. Tell me about Prime. Sola's glow brightened a little at the memory. It is beautiful. The forests glow at night like we do. The rivers are clear as air. You can see all the way to the bottom where the silver fish swim. And your families? Our parents are there, our aunts and uncles and cousins, the whole community. Sola's voice broke a little. They must be so worried, they must think we are dead. Myra reached out as far as her chains allowed. She could not touch the child, but she held her hand open, palm up, an offering of comfort. Tell me everything. Tell me about the route to your world. Tell me about the defenses, the patrol ships, the communication channels, everything you can remember. Sola looked confused. Why do you need to know these things? Because when I take you home, Myra said, I will need to know where to go. The children looked at each other. Then slowly, they began to talk. They told her about the 3 jump points between here and Prime. They told her about the conquered patrol ships that guarded the inner systems. They told her about the frequencies their people used for emergency broadcasts. They told her everything, and Myra listened to every word, storing it all in her memory. On the 3rd night, the ship's systems cycled down to their lowest power setting. This was the quiet time when the crew slept and the lights dimmed to almost nothing. Myra had been waiting for this. She had been watching the patterns, learning the rhythms of the ship. Children, she whispered, I need you to stay very quiet. Can you do that? They nodded. Their glows dimmed to almost nothing, hiding in the darkness. Myra took a deep breath. Then she grabbed her left thumb and pulled. There was a wet pop as the joint came apart. Pain shot up her arm like fire. She did not make a sound. She had learned long ago how to swallow pain, how to push it down into a small box in her mind where it could not touch her. With her thumb dislocated, her hand was smaller. She twisted and pulled, working her flesh against the metal of the cuff. The skin tore. Blood made everything slippery. But inch by inch, her hand came free. She allowed herself one moment to breathe. Then she reset her thumb with another pop of pain. Her hand was bleeding and throbbing, but it worked. That was all that mattered. She went to work on the other cuff. This one was easier. She had learned a trick with a piece of wire she had found on the floor. Within minutes, she was completely free. Stay here, she told the children. Stay quiet. Do not open this door for anyone except me. If someone else comes, hide behind the crates and do not make a sound. Do you understand?" "What are you going to do?" Sola asked. Myra stood up. In the faint glow of the children's skin, her face was hard and cold. The softness she had shown them was gone. Now she looked like what she was, a daughter of Earth, a child of a predator. "I am going hunting," she said. She moved to the door and pressed her ear against the metal. She could hear the deep silence of a sleeping ship. Good. She found the emergency release panel and went to work. Her bloody fingers left red smears on the metal, but she did not stop. She never stopped. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Beyond was darkness and silence, and 6 creatures who had no idea what was coming for them. Myra smiled her predator's smile. Then she stepped into the darkness and disappeared. The ship was dark and full of shadows. Myra moved through it like smoke. Her bare feet made no sound on the metal floor. Her breathing was slow and controlled. Every sense was alive, drinking in the darkness, reading the ship like a map written in sound and smell. She had no weapons, that was fine, she would make her own. In a maintenance alcove, she found what she needed. A broken support strut with a sharp edge, a length of cable as long as her arm, a heavy wrench that fit perfectly in her hand. She gathered these things and kept moving. There were predators. Their ancestors had hunted from above, dropping onto prey from high places. They had hard shells, strong limbs, and mandibles that could cut through bone. In a fair fight, any one of them could kill her. Myra did not believe in fair fights. She found the first one in the engine room. He was the engineer, a thin with bands of oil on his shell. He was supposed to be monitoring the fold space drives, but he had fallen asleep at his post. His head was down on the console. His breathing was slow and even. Myra watched him for a long moment. She felt nothing. No anger, no fear, just cold, clear purpose. This creature had helped steal children from their homes. He had chained her in the darkness. He would have sold her to be worked to death in some alien mine or worse. She did what needed to be done. It was quick. It was quiet. The engineer never woke up. 1 down, 5 to go. She moved on. The navigator was in the mess hall, eating a late meal. His back was to the door. Myra crept closer, using the shadows, using the low hum of the ship to cover any small sounds. The senses were sharp, but they were designed to detect movement above them, not behind. Evolution had not prepared them for a predator that came from the ground, patient and silent. The navigator died with food still in his mouth. He made one small sound, a clicking gasp, but it was not enough to wake anyone. 2 down, 4 to go. Myra found the 3rd crew member in the bathroom. She waited outside the door until he came out, then she was on him before he could react. His shell was hard, but she knew where the soft spots were. She had been watching. She had been learning. Humans were good at finding weaknesses. 3 down, 3 to go. By now, hours had passed. The ship's lights were starting to brighten as the day cycle approached. Soon the remaining crew would wake. Soon they would find the bodies. Myra needed to move faster. She found 2 of them together in the crew quarters. They were sleeping in their bunks, their shells rising and falling with each breath. Myra stood in the doorway and looked at them. 2 at once was dangerous. If one woke up and screamed, the overseer would know. Everything would be ruined. She moved like water. One strike, then another, so fast that the second one was dead before the first one's body finished falling. Neither of them made a sound. 5 down, 1 to go. Overseer. Myra made her way to the bridge. The door was sealed with a heavy lock. She had expected this. The overseer was the leader. He would have the best quarters, the strongest doors, the most protection. She could wait for him to come out, but that might take hours. The children were still in the hold. Every minute she delayed was another minute of danger. She knocked on the door. There was a long silence. Then's rasping voice came through the speaker. "Who is there?" "Your engineer," Myra said. She pitched her voice low and rough. There is a problem with the fold space drives. You need to come look. Another silence, then the sound of movement inside, heavy footsteps approaching the door. The lock clicked, the door began to slide open. Myra was through it before it was halfway open. She hit low and hard, driving her shoulder into his midsection. He was twice her size, but she had surprise and momentum. He stumbled backward into the bridge, clicking in shock. Then he recovered. His arms came around, trying to grab her. His mandibles snapped at her face. He was strong, so much stronger than her. He threw her across the room like she weighed nothing. Myra hit the wall hard. Pain exploded in her back, but she rolled and came up on her feet because that was what humans did. They got back up. Advanced on her, his red eyes were burning with fury. "How did you get free? How did you kill my crew?" Myra circled away from him, putting a console between them. "You made a mistake," she said. "You bought a human." "You are small," spat. "You are weak. Your species is nothing." "My species conquered a world that tried to kill us every day," Myra said. "My species crossed oceans in wooden boats just to see what was on the other side. My species split the atom and walked on our moon and reached for the stars. We are the children of the... and you made us angry." Lunged at her. He was fast, faster than she expected. His claws caught her arm and tore through flesh. Blood flew in a red arc. Myra screamed, but she did not fall. She twisted with the blow and brought the wrench up in a savage arc. It connected with Psy. The overseer roared in pain. He staggered back, one hand clutching his ruined face. Green blood poured between his fingers. Myra did not give him time to recover. She was on him again, striking again and again, using every weapon she had. The wrench, the sharp strut, her fists and elbows and knees. She was smaller and weaker, but she was also faster and more desperate, and she never stopped coming. The fight lasted a long time. Both of them were bleeding. Both of them were exhausted. The bridge was wrecked, consoles smashed, walls dented. But in the end fell. He collapsed to his knees, his breath coming in wet rattles. His remaining eye looked up at Myra with something that might have been confusion. "How?" he whispered. "How could you defeat me?" Myra stood over him. She was swaying on her feet. Her arm hung at her side, torn and bleeding, but she was still standing. She was always still standing. "Because I am human," she said, "and humans do not quit." She finished it with one final blow. Then she stood alone on the bridge of a dead ship, surrounded by the bodies of her enemies. She allowed herself one moment to feel the pain, the exhaustion, the weight of what she had done. Then she pushed it all away. There was still work to do. She went to the console and began to figure out the controls. She had never piloted a vessel before, but she was human. Humans learned. Humans adapted. Humans figured things out. It took her an hour to understand the basic systems. Then she set a course for Prime. She went back to the cargo hold. The door opened and 3 frightened faces looked up at her. The children saw the blood on her clothes, the wounds on her body, the exhaustion in her eyes. "Is it over?" Sola asked. Myra nodded. "It is over. They are all gone." "What happens now?" Myra smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. "Now I take you home just like I promised." The children's lights brightened with hope. For the first time since they had been taken, they began to believe they might actually survive. Myra helped them out of the hold and into the upper levels of the ship. She found medical supplies and began treating her wounds. The children watched her with wonder. They watched her clean and bandage her torn arm without crying, without complaining. "Does it not hurt?" asked. "It hurts," Myra said. "But pain is just information. It tells you something is wrong. It does not get to tell you what to do." She finished patching herself up. Then she went to the bridge and took the pilot's seat. The stars stretched before her, bending into ribbons of light as the ship moved through fold space. Prime was waiting, and Myra Vance always kept her promises. The journey to Prime took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of fold space jumps and careful navigation through sectors that Myra did not know. 2 weeks of healing wounds and learning new systems and caring for 3 frightened children who had never been so far from home. The ship was too big for just the 4 of them. It echoed with emptiness. Sometimes in the quiet hours, Myra could almost hear the ghosts of the crew she had killed. She did not regret what she had done, but she did not celebrate it either. Killing was a tool, nothing more. It was something that needed to be done, and she had done it. That was all. The children stayed close to her. At first they were afraid to explore the ship. They jumped at every sound, expecting to come out of the shadows. But as the days passed and no one came, they began to relax. They began to trust that they were truly safe. Sola was the bravest. The eldest child followed Myra around the ship, watching everything she did, asking endless questions. How did the engines work? How did she know which buttons to press? How had she learned to fight like that? Myra answered when she could. She explained fold space theory in simple words. She showed Sola how to read the navigation charts. She told stories about the academy where she had trained, about her first ship, about the crew she had lost to the same slavers who had captured her. You were looking for them, Sola realized one day. The slavers, you were hunting them when they caught you. Myra nodded. I was careless, I was angry, I made mistakes. They surprised me and killed my crew. I have been their prisoner for 3 months. I am sorry, Sola said, for your crew. They were good people, Myra said. They deserved better, but they would be happy to know that their deaths led to your freedom. That is something, that is worth something. And Talai were younger and more timid. They spent most of their time in a small room they had made into a nest, piling blankets and cushions into a soft pile where they could curl up together. Their glows were when they were together, pulsing in slow rhythms that seemed to comfort them. Myra checked on them often. She brought them food and water and sat with them while they ate. She did not push them to talk. She just let them know she was there, that they were not alone, that someone was watching over them. One night Talai spoke to her. The youngest child's voice was so soft that Myra had to lean close to hear. They were going to hurt us, Talai said, though they were going to take our light. Myra felt something cold move through her heart. What do you mean, take your light? Our glow, Talai said. It is valuable. Rich aliens use it for decoration, for jewelry, for art. The child's lights flickered with fear. But to take the glow, they have to take it from us. They have to cut us open. We do not survive. Myra was quiet for a long moment. She had known the children were valuable. She had not known they were being taken to be harvested like crops. How many, she asked. Her voice was very steady. How many children do they take? Dozens every cycle, Sola said. The eldest child had entered the room, drawn by the conversation. The slavers come to the outer settlements where there is no protection. They take the young ones because our glow is when we are young. No one ever comes back. No one has ever been rescued. Until now, Myra thought, until me. She looked at the 3 children. Their lights were dim with remembered fear. They were so small, so fragile, so far from home. And there were dozens more like them, taken every cycle, murdered for their beauty. Something shifted in Myra's chest. Something that had been sleeping for a long time began to wake up. Tell me more, she said. Tell me everything. Where do the slavers come from? What routes do they use? Where do they take the children? The children told her what they knew. It was not much, but it was a start. There were patterns. There were weak points. There were opportunities. Myra filed it all away in her mind. For later, for after. The days passed, the ship moved through space, and slowly something wonderful began to happen. The children started to smile again. Sola asked Myra to tell them more stories about Earth, not the scary stories about predators and disasters, the good stories, the beautiful stories. So Myra told them about oceans that stretched to the horizon, so vast you could not see the other side. She told them about mountains that touched the sky, white with snow and ice. She told them about forests full of green growing things, about deserts painted in shades of red and gold, about rivers that carved canyons over millions of years. She told them about music. She hummed songs from her childhood, simple melodies that she had learned from her mother. The children listened with wonder. Music was different on Prime. This was something new, something strange and beautiful. She told them about human history, not the wars and the violence, but the other things. The artists who painted masterpieces, the builders who raised cities from nothing, the explorers who crossed unknown seas and climbed impossible mountains and never stopped reaching for more. Why, Sola asked, why do humans always want more? Myra thought about it. I do not know, she admitted. It is just who we are. We see a mountain and we want to climb it. We see an ocean and we want to cross it. We see the stars and we want to touch them. Maybe it is because our world was so hard. We had to keep moving, keep exploring, keep growing, or we would have died. And now we cannot stop. It is in our blood. The final jump approached. Myra gathered the children on the bridge and showed them the navigation display. A small dot was pulsing on the screen. That is your home, she said. Prime, we will be there in 6 hours. The children's lights blazed bright with joy, and Talai began to cry, but they were happy tears, their glows pulsing in rapid bursts of color. Sola just stared at the screen with wide eyes, as if afraid to believe it was real. I thought I would never see it again, Sola whispered. I thought I would die in the dark. Myra put her hand on the child's shoulder. You are not going to die. You are going home. Your parents are waiting for you. Your family, your friends, your whole world. It is all still there. The ship dropped out of fold space. The stars snapped back to points of light. And there, hanging in the blackness, was a beautiful world of blue and green, wrapped in clouds like white silk. Prime. But they were not alone. Warning lights began to flash. Alarms began to scream. A dozen ships were moving toward them, weapons hot, shields up. Unknown vessel, a voice crackled over the communication system. You are flying a known slaver ship in protected space. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. The children's lights flickered with fear. Myra felt her heart beating fast. After everything she had survived, to be killed now by friendly fire would be the joke in the galaxy. She opened a channel. This is Myra Vance, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. I am human. I am not a slaver. I killed the crew of this ship and took control. I have 3 children aboard. Their names are Sola and Talai. I am bringing them home. There was a long silence. The patrol ships held their positions, weapons still locked. Myra could feel the children pressing close to her, seeking protection. Then a new voice came over the channel. It was older, deeper, full of disbelief. Did you say, children, you have children aboard? Yes, 3 of them. They were taken from the outer settlements. They are scared and tired and they want to see their families. Please, let me bring them home. Another silence. Myra could imagine the chaos on the patrol ships. Stolen children coming home was not something that ever happened. It was not something they were prepared for. Finally, the voice spoke again. Follow us in, human. Do not deviate from our course. If you are telling the truth, if you really have brought our children back. The voice broke. When it returned, it was thick with emotion. Then you will be welcomed, as no outsider has ever been welcomed on our world. The landing pad was filled with light. Hundreds had gathered, their bodies glowing in shades of blue and green and gold. They stood in silence as the stolen ship descended through the morning sky. They watched as it settled onto the platform with a hiss of steam and smoke. They waited. Myra stood at the top of the boarding ramp with the 3 children beside her. The morning sun was warm on her face. The air smelled of flowers and something sweet she did not recognize. After weeks in the cold darkness of space, it felt like being born again. Are you ready? She asked the children. They nodded. Their lights were blazing bright with joy and fear and hope. Sola took her hand and squeezed it tight. Together they walked down the ramp. The crowd made a sound. It was not a cheer. It was something deeper, something older, a sound of wonder and disbelief and overwhelming emotion. Some of them fell to their knees. Others reached out with trembling hands as if to make sure the children were real. Then the parents pushed through the crowd. Myra saw them coming. Two adults, their glows pulsing wildly, their faces twisted with desperate hope. They stopped at the bottom of the ramp, staring up at the children like they were seeing ghosts. Sola, the mother, whispered, "Talai." The children ran. They flew down the ramp and into their parents' arms. The family collapsed together, holding each other, their glows blending into one brilliant light that hurt to look at. They were crying, all of them, tears streaming down their faces. Myra stood alone at the top of the ramp. She watched the reunion with a small smile on her face. This was why she had done it. This was worth all the blood and pain and darkness. This moment, this light. The conquered officials arrived within hours. Investigators, diplomats, military officers. They all wanted to talk to the human who had killed 6 slavers with her bare hands and brought stolen children home. It was not something that had ever happened before. They did not know what to make of it. Myra told her story. She told it again and again to different people in different rooms. She described the auction, the ship, the escape. She described the fights in detail that made some of the listeners turn pale. She held nothing back. "You killed them all yourself?" one official asked. "Without weapons, without help?" "Humans are very hard to kill," Myra said simply, "and I was motivated." The galactic press descended on Prime. News networks from 100 worlds sent representatives. They all wanted interviews with the woman who had done the impossible. They offered her money, fame, anything she wanted. Myra refused them all. "I did not do this for attention," she told the officials. "I did it because it was right. Those children did not deserve to die. Nobody deserves to be sold like property. I had the ability to stop it, so I did." "What will you do now?" they asked her. "You are a hero. You could have anything, a position with the conquered, a new ship, a home on any world you choose." Myra was quiet for a long time. She looked out the window at the beautiful world below. The forests were glowing in the fading light of evening. Families were walking together, safe and whole because of what she had done. But there were other families out there, other children, other dark places where the conquered's light did not reach. "I need a ship," she said finally. "Something small and fast, and fuel, enough to reach the outer systems." The officials looked at each other with concern. "Why? Where are you going?" "There are more stations like," Myra said. "More ships like the one that took those children. Dozens of young are stolen every cycle. And it is not just there are other species, other victims, other crimes. Someone has to stop them." "That is the job of the conquered," one official said. "We have patrols, investigations." "Your patrols do not go to the dark places," Myra interrupted. "Your investigations take years. While you write reports and attend meetings, children are dying. I do not have time for politics. I do not have patience for bureaucracy. I just want to hunt the hunters." There was a long silence. Then Sola's father stepped forward. He had been listening from the corner of the room. His glow was soft but steady. "Give her what she asks," he said. "This human saved my children. She brought them back from the darkness when everyone said it was impossible. If she wants to save more, we should help her." The officials hesitated. Then one by one they nodded. The ship was waiting for her at dawn. It was small and sleek, built for speed rather than comfort. They had painted something on the hull. Myra did not recognize the symbols, but Sola, who had come to see her off, explained. "It says Light Bringer," the child said. "That is what they are calling you now, the one who brought light back to the darkness." Myra touched the painted symbols. They were warm under her fingers. "I like it," she said. The spaceport was almost empty at this hour. The sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Sola stood beside the ship, looking up at Myra with those large, luminous eyes. "Will you come back?" the child asked. Myra knelt down so they were face to face. "I do not know," she said honestly. "The work I am going to do is dangerous. I may not survive, but I will try. And if I do survive, if I finish what I am starting, then yes, I will come back." "Promise?" Myra smiled. "I promise to try. That is the best I can offer." Sola hugged her. The child's glow wrapped around Myra like warmth, like light, like hope. Myra hugged back, careful not to squeeze too hard. Humans were stronger than they looked. She had learned that the hard way. "Thank you," Sola whispered, "for everything." "Thank you," Myra said, "for reminding me why I keep fighting." She stood up and walked to her ship. The boarding ramp lowered with a soft hiss. She climbed aboard and sealed the hatch behind her. Through the viewport, she could see Sola still standing on the platform, small and alone, glowing softly in the early morning light. Myra raised her hand in farewell. Sola raised a hand back. The engines roared to life. The ship lifted off the platform and rose into the brightening sky. For a moment, its silhouette was sharp against the dawn, a dark shape climbing toward the stars. Sola watched it go, watched until it was nothing but a speck of shadow against the light. Then it was gone. In the cycles that followed, stories began to spread through the dark corners of the galaxy. Slavers whispered about ships found drifting in deep space, their crews slaughtered, their cargo holds empty. Pirates spoke of a human woman who appeared out of nowhere, who could not be bribed and could not be stopped. Flesh traders locked their doors and checked their scanners and jumped at shadows. They called her the Woman. They said she hunted by starlight. They said she could track a ship through fold space. They said she never slept, never rested, never gave up. Some said she was a ghost. Some said she was a demon. Some said she was just a story, a myth to frighten children. But on 100 stations, in 1,000 cargo holds, stolen children began to hear the stories too, and they began to hope. Because somewhere out there in the darkness between the stars, a daughter of Earth was hunting. She was coming for them. She would find them. And she would bring them home. Myra Vance flew alone through the endless night. She did not know how long she would last. She did not know if she would ever see Prime again, or Earth, or any familiar sky. She only knew that there was work to do, and she was the one to do it. That was enough. That was always enough. Behind her, the dawn broke over Prime. The children were safe in their homes. The families were whole again. And in the stories they would tell for generations, they would remember the human who came from who walked through darkness and brought back the light. They would remember Myra Vance, the woman. And they would never forget.